Is it a cinematic sensation? Is it a masterpiece of animation? Or a terrible train wreck like Jambareeqi check? If a movie needs an exorcism, he'll smite the demon with criticism. If it deserves attention, he'll give it a heartfelt mention. A strawberry rating 1 to 5. Jambareeqi Reviews.
Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. Who are the Beatles? Made up of 4 Liverpudlian musicians called John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison and Ringo Starr, the Beatles were a rock band that revolutionised music as we know it, pushing the art form to new levels while also retaining a mainstream appeal. During the craze of Beatlemania, many filmmakers tried to capitalise on the Fab Four's fame through movies, many of which starred the Beatles themselves. And in this episode of Jambareeqi Reviews, I'm going to be talking about one of the Beatles' movies, Yellow Submarine. Based on the song of the same name by Lennon and McCartney, Yellow Submarine is a hand-drawn animated comedy fantasy. When the peaceful world of Pepperland is suddenly attacked by the evil blue meanies, it's up to old Captain Fred to get some help, in the form of the British rock band The Beatles. Using a flying yellow submarine as their transport, Fred and the Fab Four travel far and wide to reach Pepperland, in a bid to save its people from the blue meanies. I'll admit that I can't really appreciate this film for its story. Not only does the movie refuse to give us enough time to develop an emotional attachment to Pepperland before it's attacked by the blue meanies, but the Beatles themselves don't seem that urgent about helping Pepperland, the very people they're travelling the universe to save. Finding it more important and interesting to randomly sing their own songs and joke about the weird things they see. Heck, the story even sometimes comes to a screeching halt just so the movie can have a music video sequence for a Beatles song. The Fab Four don't really take the blue meanie threat seriously until they actually reach Pepperland. Even then, the war between the Fab Four and the blue meanies ends up dragging on for a very long time. What I can praise this movie for, though, is its ability to create an imaginative and psychedelic experience. The film constantly presents strange imagery, fantastical creatures, and bizarre worlds. There's never a dull moment in the adventure our heroes take, because the animators are always eager to keep us entertained. We travel through time and space, coming across places that break the barriers of expectation. We have no idea where the Fab Four will end up next, because every new area is a refreshingly creative surprise, resulting in an excitingly unpredictable journey. The Yellow Submarine itself is a fun vehicle for our heroes too. There's something childlike and whimsical about its mechanics that truly captures a sense of dream-fueled imagination. The fact that the submarine has so many buttons, levers and switches opens up a realm of possibilities for what kinds of things this transport can do, which is awesome. In addition, the banter and dialogue from the Beatles is great as well. The writers completely embrace their Liverpudlian language, letting their British northernness become integral quirks to their personalities. There's a rhythm and charisma to the way our leads talk that adds a lovely charm to the movie's screenplay. I'm going to give 4 points to the content. The Beatles themselves don't get much characterization as individuals. Sure, they each have their own moments to shine, little nuanced differences in their designs and animation, and brief references to their real-life inspirations, but for the most part, it feels like they're all the same character. Sure, hardcore Beatles fans can apply what they know about each band member to these caricatures, but everyone else will most likely just see them as clones. While I don't like how little they seem invested in reaching Pepperland in time to save its people, I do like their nonchalant calmness and dry sense of humour. There's something relaxing about spending time with them. I really have to admire how they act so cool and collected about the strange things they come across. Their funny commentary on the oddities they see and hijinks they get into can be delightfully hilarious. Although, in one scene, they're kind of dicks for being mean to a creature that ends up in their submarine, by calling him ugly, making him cry and booting him out. That's not the best way to reflect the Beatles' message of love in this film, is it now? Captain Fred serves as a straight man next to these quirky rock stars, being the voice of reason in the middle of all this surreal madness. He acts as a tour guide for our heroes as well as the audience, making him integral to the story. I did like how he played off these cheeky chappies, and I respect that he's the only one taking the Pepperland tragedy seriously. Jeremy is a pseudo-intellectual creature that the Fab Four meet on their adventure. He acts as a metaphor for people who let their personal projects and academic solitude consume their lives. As a creative, I did find myself feeling connected to him, and I could totally see a part of me in his lifestyle. So his character really spoke to me, and I empathise with his habit of putting creative endeavours before life's many offerings. In terms of personality, he's just on the edge of annoying, but the writers managed to find a charm to his giddy nature and eagerness to help others. The Blue Meanie Chief is this fantastic balance of entertainingly silly and terrifyingly intimidating. There's something really unsettling about how unpredictable his behaviour is. This guy bounces between calmly relaxed and dangerously mad in a matter of seconds. His constant mugging to the camera, screeching monologues, and scenery chewing actually add to his creepy factor, because we feel like he could literally break out of the movie and kill us any second. The Blue Meanie Chief's army is also imaginatively disturbing. Each troop has a very threatening design that's almost borderline horror, and they all perform their acts of brutality with a creepy, apathetic smile. It's no surprise that Yellow Submarine's villains effectively scared many kids who grew up with this movie. I'm going to give 4 points to the characters. The heart of this movie's overall design has to be the vision of the film's art director Heinz Edelman. His odd and surreal style of drawing really helps to create a one-of-a-kind aesthetic for the movie, one that can't be compared to or duplicated by any other animated film. It's a wonderfully strange mix of glamorous pop art and psychedelic dreaminess. From a technical standpoint, the animation is borderline television show standards, with its limited choppy movement and frequent lack of fluidity. This is mainly due to how little of a budget went behind the film and the fact that the animators only had 11 months to make the film. But despite this, the animators work around their restraints and fight against their deadline, letting their imaginations run riot. Every frame oozes with a sense of grand artistic expression, bursting with colour, energy and charisma. You can really tell that everyone who worked on this film was a Beatles fan, because their love for the band's work shines through the animation, whether it's for the personalities of the Fab Four or the visual interpretations of their classic rock songs. This movie can also get so trippy that it feels like we're going through a drug-induced hallucination. While I can imagine that some people will find this to be nauseating, I kind of like the idea of a movie that plays with our perspectives and vision, because it's an example of what experimental animation can achieve when pushed in unconventional directions. Many varied techniques of animation were employed during production too, in a bid to try interesting ways of visualizing these songs. So there are parts of the film that do feature a bit more technical ambition compared to the rest, and some sequences stand out because of this. That's the best thing about this movie's animation, it's incredibly unique. With so many filmmakers being eager to replicate already successful formulas, it's inspiring to see an animated film like Yellow Submarine take the brave risk of thinking outside of the box in terms of visual style and creative potential. I'm going to give 4 points to the animation. The Beatles characters weren't actually voiced by the real Paul, Ringo, John and George. Instead, they were performed by Paul Angelus, John Clive, Paul Batten and Jeffrey Hughes. These actors were so good in their roles that many have mistaken them for the real Fab Four. What I love about their voices is how chill they sound. There's a dryness to their performances that's very charming and also effective at delivering their nuanced, humorous dialogue.
So this is a submarine.
Soft, isn't it?
Not if you're on the bottom.
All right, lads. Time to stow the gab and turn to.
Groovy. How do you start this thing?
It starts with a Blue Meanie attack.
Well, supposing there's no blue meanies in the neighbourhood.
Captain Fred is voiced by Lance Percival, playing the character with an old Cockney gruffness that contrasts superbly against the youthful Northern Beatles.
Now, whatever you do, don't touch that button.
Which button?
That one.
This one.
Oh, that was the panic button.
Jeremy's voice certainly comes close to being a little annoying, especially considering how all his dialogue is done in rhyme, but Dick Emery plays him with a sweet childlike innocence that does sound kind of adorable.
Down the hatch. A quite curious phrase. The Middle South Midlands Victorian phase. Its usage undoubtedly on the increase. I must work it into my new statesman piece.
That's the hatch, friend.
Paul Angelis voices the Blue Meanie Chief, and I have mixed views about his performance. On the one hand, his unsettling screeching and creepy whispering makes the character disturbingly off-kilter. But on the other hand, sometimes I had no idea what he was saying, and had to try extra hard to work out his dialogue.
Let us not forget that heaven is blue.
I'm going to give 4 points to the voice acting. Besides including Beatles songs, Yellow Submarine also has an original music score, composed by George Martin, and I like that it doesn't try to directly imitate the Beatles style, because that would have been an overambitious direction to take. Instead, we get a really cinematic and lavish background score, one that adds some theatrical weight to the movie. I really do love it. It's bursting with strong emotions and detailed soundscapes, truly capturing the essence of the film's atmosphere. Then we have the actual Beatles songs, which include numbers from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, unreleased tracks, and songs written especially for the movie. There's a superb technical competence to each song, as well as clever catchy lyrics, psychedelic influences, and a transcendent quality to the quartet as they sing together. With a few exceptions, the Beatles songs aren't really relevant to what's happening in the Fab Four's adventure. They merely exist as inspirations for surreal visual sequences, which can make many of the musical numbers feel shoehorned into the story. However, when the Beatles finally come face to face with the villains, the Fab Four's songs suddenly play a vital part in the storytelling, because the Blue Meanies hate music, and Pepperland can be cured of their misery through upbeat songs. It's a wonderful way of spreading the uplifting message that music has a great strength, thus empowering our musician heroes. I do wish that the film used the songs as narrative tools like this throughout the whole story, but I'll take what we're given. I'm going to give 4 points to the music. To conclude, Yellow Submarine is a truly imaginative and boundary-breaking experiment in animation, with so much wonder and creativity to offer. It captures the spirit of the 1960s, while also remaining timeless as a fun adventure about peace, love, life, and the power of music. Do I have problems with it? Sure, but its passion and heart really shines through like a bright psychedelic sun. Yellow Submarine has gained 20 points, which translates to 4 yellow strawberries out of 5. If you enjoyed such films as Fantasia, Pink Floyd The Wall, or Alice in Wonderland, then I think you might like Yellow Submarine. I'd just like to point out that the graphics for this video were produced by Toongrin. If you'd like to request commissions from them, here's their website on screen. So, what am I going to be reviewing in the next episode of Jambareeqi Reviews? Well, I had a little think about it and thought...
Stop! Stop right there! Stop! Stop!
Santa? Oh, you've been drinking again. Why do you always have to ruin my childhood whimsy with your alcoholism?
And why are you ruining my alcoholism with your childhood whimsy? Christmas time is all about me, so I get to decide what you review next on your show. Okay?
I already have a schedule planned for the show.
You are going to take my request, or I'm putting you on Santa's naughty list, and you won't get any presents for Christmas. Not at all. Gonna ruin your Christmas.
Okay. Please do not ruin the most festive time of the year. This has been a crap year, so please don't take Christmas away from me. What do you want me to review for you?
I'm glad you asked. I thought really hard and carefully about the request, and about my life, but then about the request again. Anyway, I want you to do Swamp Princess Christmas.
You heard Santa, folks. The next episode of Jambareeqi Reviews will be on Swamp Princess Christmas. Cheerio, folks.